to Prime Morning. My name is Esietua Akumia. My guest for this conversation is seated, and he's a true definition of going to hell and back because of everything that he's been through. Peddling drugs, doing all sorts of things, leaving home, being a prodigal son, and thankfully coming back home, but at least being welcomed by his family with open arms, with so much love. Today he decided some years ago to put everything in a book. He says that it's not just a memoir, it's more than a memoir. He's seated with me this morning. Prince Maubrey Destined. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm blessed, very blessed.
Right. So, Prince Maubrey Destined, off air, I was asking you if Destined is your actual name.
Yes, it's my actual name. My previous name was Okokwanza. I'm Ghanaian, I'm a Ga.
Yeah, Ga.
And the Destined was given to me in a dream by the Lord. And he's made it very clear that that was going to be my name, and that was my destiny to change my life and to do something great for the world. And I officially had it changed to Destined.
Right. So what of the Maubrey?
Maubrey is my first name.
Maubrey is your first name.
I was born with Maubrey.
You were born with Maubrey.
Yes.
So you don't use any of the local names anymore?
No, I'm just known as Prince Maubrey.
I see. So at what age did God call you? How was it like?
I've always been with Christ,
right,
my entire life.
Okay.
I just went to university. My finances weren't enough to pay for university, and I went in the wrong direction into dealing drugs. But I've always been with Christ. Even as I was dealing, I would pray that he protects me and not allow me to be killed or arrested. But the revelation came one day when I was 23, and I finally realized that I'm not here to be dealing drugs and to be, in essence, hurting people.
Yeah.
And that was the revelation.
So you started doing drugs, peddling drugs at what age?
A few months after I entered university, so I was 18. 18? Yes.
Right. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit more into that. But then when I was reading the volume 2, the book of the title of the book, The Maubrey Destined Effect, the volume 2, chapter 2, you spoke about when you heard, or you're riding a bicycle and somebody told you the World Trade Center, there's a bombing at the World Trade Center, yes, and you didn't want to take it serious because you were like, yeah, it happened 5 years ago.
Yeah, yes.
Right. But you got worried when a second person told you that there's a bombing at the World Trade Center.
Yes.
And that is because that your mother uses the train and the train goes through the World Trade Center.
Yes. Wow.
At that moment, what was really going through your mind? Thinking that, what if my mother was there?
Yeah.
Fortunately, she wasn't.
Yes, fortunately.
Yes.
My mom was a nurse, and we lived in New Jersey, and she traveled to New York through the World Trade Center every day for work. So when I first heard it, I thought about my mom, but I realized that she goes through that World Trade Center a few hours before. So as soon as I found out the times that the planes hit the World Trade Center, I was relieved. I called my parents.
This was the 9/11?
Yes, 9/11.
Right.
Yeah. So it was a shock at first, but I was relieved when I realized the time and just said prayers for the people who were in there. So
the period where you were doing drugs in university, how was your relationship with family like? Did they know that this is what you were engaging in school?
No, not at all.
Because I think in the volume 3 you mentioned that it was only your elder brother who was aware.
Yes.
Right.
My elder brother was like my best friend, and he pretty much still is. So we grew up together. We're just a year apart. We tell each other everything, even if we don't tell our parents. So I eventually told my older brother about a year or 2 after I started, but I didn't tell any of my other family members.
What was he doing to help you?
He wasn't doing anything to help me, because if he's helping me, that means he would be involved. But he was
no,
just...
asking to help you out of it. That's what,
he just advised me to be safe, to be careful.
But there was no way he could talk you out of it?
No, no.
Because you were too deep into it?
I knew what I wanted. I needed to pay for my university. And at 17, 18 years old, that's the only option I can think of to pay it was about $24,000, which is about $250,000 cities. So just for 1 year.
Just for 1 year.
So at 18 years old, I had no other option to think of to pay for my university. Wow. And I was a pre-med student. Okay. So my dream, my entire life growing up was to be a doctor. And I realized that life doesn't work the way you want it to work. So that was the only thing I can think of to do, was to sell drugs.
Is it that you were not, you were from a home that wasn't financially strong?
We were okay. I wouldn't say we weren't financially strong, but just to pay that amount was too much for my family to pay. And I went to Indiana University thinking that I had a full or 90% scholarship. So in my mind and in my parents' mind, we would only have to pay about $2,000 per year, which would be easy for them. So to be shocked that I have to pay everything, or 90% or more of it, we couldn't do it.
And your parents didn't question you in any way?
I think they believed that thoughts that we had a full scholarship was still there. And I think I eventually told them that I have a letter. They said we have to pay everything. And I think I just told them, made many excuses that I'm okay, I'll be able to pay, or there will be financial aid coming from the school. I made up so many excuses and lies to convince them that I'm still going to school and I'm still able to pay.
Now, you were so skillful in peddling drugs that at some parts in the volume 3, you mentioned that drugs became an art to you.
Yes, I think I'm blessed with a gift of sales. And I'm blessed with a gift of communication, and I love people. So those blessings could be used for good or bad. And I just chose to use it for bad. I used all my skills and my blessings to be an efficient drug dealer.
So you noticed it early?
Yeah, I noticed.
That you are skillful when it comes to sales, marketing and all.
Yeah, skills.
You used it in the wrong way.
Yeah, yes. My mind wasn't mature enough to realize what I can do with those blessings for good. So I went in that direction, and I became very efficient in what I was doing.
Now let's talk about the prodigal son in volume 3.
Yes.
Yeah, chapter 18.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've read the book.
Yes, I have. What came in mind that you decided, because you left home at age 17 and then you're back home? What was really going through your mind when you were going home, when you decided to go back home after all these years? I actually left Indiana University when I was 21. I went to Florida for just a few months, and then I moved to LA. And it was in LA when I really started dealing more drugs. Even after the cases were dropped in college, I backtracked again. And I started dealing more drugs in Los Angeles, and this time I was more efficient at what I was doing. But I did it for about 2 years in LA, and I was realizing that this is not my life. This is not my dream. My dream is to inspire people, and that's how it all started, from that 17-year-old boy wanting to be a doctor, help people, inspire people. I was an athlete as well, and I wanted to be a great athlete, inspire people through my athleticism. But after all those years of trying to achieve that dream, and I realized that it wasn't happening, I turned to Christ. I said, I have nothing to do. I have no answers. And I've looked back at my life for the past few years. I want your wisdom, Christ. I just want the wisdom. Because I realized, fortunately, at that time, that it was wisdom of Christ that gets you to the dream. So I was fortunate enough to see that. And the moment I asked him for his wisdom,
my life has changed.
It has changed.
I've traveled the world.
Right.
I've written best-selling books.
Yes.
I've competed in different sports. I'm training for the Olympics now. I'm so blessed when I decided to ask Christ for his wisdom. And I'm even getting chills now because he showed me these days, these great days. He showed me these great days.
Right.
And I'm so happy that he allowed me to hear his voice.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cry.
It's getting quite emotional. No, you have a great story, and I'm glad that you've put it all in these books.
Yes.
To share to the entire world, for people to know that it's not too late to run to Christ if you are going through something devastating. If you think that you've lost it all, there's no hope. Jesus is the hope, and Prince Maubrey Destined has put it all in the book. You know, I want us to talk briefly on you were caught peddling drugs, and he was almost sentenced 60 years.
Yes.
But God miraculously brought you out of that.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
When I was originally caught, it took about 2 years of going back and forth to court. In the U.S., they'll tell you to come back in a few months. You come back in a few months, they'll tell you it's not ready yet. They'll keep coming back every few months. And then eventually, after maybe 5-6 months, they'll tell you that we're not okay, because you don't want to admit that you're guilty, let's just give you 50 years. And if you take it, you just do 50 years. Wow. Most likely you do half of the time if you're good in jail. I kept saying no. Then a few months later again, they said, okay, we'll give you 40 years. Will you take it?
So they kept on reducing it?
They kept reducing it. Yeah, they kept reducing. That's how it works in the States. Right. If they feel that it's going to take a long time, or if they feel that you won't admit. So after about 2 years, it finally came down to, we've been dealing with him for 2 years. We know he's not taking anything. We've gone from 60 to 10 to 5. He's not taking it. We'll give you probation. You won't go to jail. And you just accept that you're guilty. You admit that you did it. We'll give you probation. And I almost agreed to it. I actually agreed to it in the office with the prosecutors and my defense attorney. And they told me, let's go downstairs. We'll sign the paperwork. My parents were with me. And as we were going downstairs, I stopped my parents, and because the Lord had spoke to me at that point. He said, don't take it. You're already forgiven. I've forgiven you from the moment you accepted your mistakes 2 years ago. I forgive you the moment you turned to me 2 years ago. Don't take it. So we went downstairs.
Although you had accepted, and you were just going to sign.
I was just going to sign, yes. And when we went downstairs, the prosecutors were ready for me to sign. Yeah. And I told them, you know what, I'm just going to take the paperwork home and think about it. And they were so frustrated, because after all these years of them trying to get the case to be finished and move on to someone else, I said, I'm going to take it home. And as I mentioned, God said, don't take it.
Don't take it.
And within a few more months, maybe about half a year, I got a letter in the mail that your case has been completely dropped.
Wow.
And I knew at that point that when you listen to Christ and not listen to even your family and your friends who have your best intentions at heart. My parents were so nervous when I said,
it would be.
Because they were finally going to have their kid home and free. Yeah. And now I'm risking that if it actually goes to court, I can risk the whole 60 years. So I took a leap of faith in Christ and what I was hearing and listened to him. And when I received that final judgment that my case is dropped, I knew that what the voices that I was hearing in my heart were true.
So is it that after you took the contract and you were like, you're not going to sign it, you're going to
think about it.
Think about it. So you're going to think about it. you were not hearing from them again until months later when you received that letter.
Oh, they'll continue follow up to see if, and I eventually.
You were still saying no.
Eventually, I said no. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the letter came.
And then the letter came.
And the case had been dropped.
Yes.
What was your reaction? What was family's reaction?
The interesting thing is the letter came in the mail, and my parents, my mom and my brother, traveled to Indiana University to come to the court case.
Okay.
Because I didn't read the mail. I didn't even check my mail that week. So in my mind, my parents, my mom and my brother just flew in. We're actually going to go to the final court date. We're actually going to start the trial. So we're going ready, prepared to face 60 years for a trial.
Yeah.
And the secretary told us, what are we doing here? We don't have you on the list. And I said, we're here for the trial.
Right.
And she looked through some more papers. She said, we don't have you on our list. And she went back to get my public defender. He came back. He's always annoyed at me for the last 2 years because I'm so stubborn. I'm so stubborn. And so he came back annoyed, and he said, come on, come to the back. And we went to the back so confused. And he pulled up, he went through his files, he brought a stack of paperwork, and he said, your case has been dropped.
My goodness.
He said, your case, I looked at my mom on my left, I looked at my brother on my right, and we saw a true miracle in Christ that day. We saw it. I was prepared to go into the fire, to court, to trial, and we saw a true miracle.
Wow.
I've just seen so many miracles from Christ in my life that at this point of my life, I can't be convinced that he's not real, and I can't be convinced that he has more to do for not just me, but for everyone.
So you were not able to pursue your medical dream?
You know what? My dream was to help people. And as an athlete and as a best-selling author, I can touch people more through my words, through my actions, than I would if I was a doctor. And I'm actually glad that I'm not a doctor, because what I'm doing is so much more fulfilling. To reach people, to help people, to heal people, even without medicine.
Even without medicine. And you know, with what you just said is proof of the fact that you need to be very positive with your words, what you say about yourself, people you love. Because you know, when you read the blurb, you put here that nothing like you have ever imagined. I proclaim it to be the #1 best-selling book of all time. And your book.
Yes.
One of the best-selling books.
Yes.
So he proclaimed it. And it's happened. Isn't it?
Yes, correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Prince Maubrey Destined. Where can we get the books to buy?
You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it on my website, MaubreyDestined.com. And I actually stand on Oxford Street every day promoting the books on front of Woodine.
Okay.
So I've been doing that here in Ghana for the past 4 months as I've been training for the Olympics. Okay. And then I do it in
so you're training for the Olympics as well?
Yes. I'm an athlete. I'm a 100-meter sprinter.
Nice.
So I'm living my dream, and I get to help people. So it's a blessing.
Prince Maubrey, you are a blessing. So please make sure that you go grab yourself a copy. So you say, so your stand is still on the Oxford Street?
I don't have a stand. I just go.
You just go there, stand, and then you stand there?
I always tell to myself, no matter how many books I sell, no matter how famous I get, I always want to be grounded and humble.
And how's the sales going?
I've sold about $500,000 in copies, just face to face. Just face to face, yeah.
Here in Ghana?
Yes. No, not here in Ghana, all over the world. But predominantly in the U.S., but in Ghana, total, all over, I've sold about $500,000 in copies. I would love to have it happen in Ghana.
Yes, we would love for it to happen in Ghana. And so please make sure that you go grab yourself a copy. This is very inspiring, very encouraging. He is proof that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. So please go get this memoir. He said it's not just a memoir, it's more than a memoir. It's titled The Maubrey Destined Effect, Volume 2 and Volume 3. So go get yourself a copy. Prince Maubrey, thank you very much. Before you go, advice for young ones, what do you want to tell anybody out there?
Never give up on your dream. Keep Jesus Christ first place. Stay humble, stay submissive, and stay obedient to the voice of Christ, and you can accomplish everything.
With Jesus, everything is possible. Prince Maubrey, thank you once more. Have a lovely morning.
Thank you.